Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. My name is Catherine. Keep sharing, liking, commenting and giving your opinion, and keep the conversation going on these topics and themes that I discuss with you regularly. I really appreciate your feedback. It has shaped me. It has also enabled me to see things from a different perspective. So I keep saying that let's have the conversation going. Let's keep sharing these videos and sharing the information with others outside there. So today I'm going to talk about the participation of youth in political violence in Kenya, and specifically I'm going to look at the participation of youths in unleashing violence in political rallies in the country. So it is not news that we have seen factions of youth clashing in political rallies because they support different political candidates, political ideologies, and political parties. I do not want to stretch further back in history, but I start from September 2020. So in September 10, 2010, we had a group of youths crashing, a faction of youths crashing in Kisii County ahead of the deputy president's rally in the region. So in 4th October, we had a political clash at AIPC Akenol Church, and in this clash we had two young men dying. And then on January 21st of 2020, January 27th of 2021, we saw a political clash between factions of youths in Githurai during a PPI rally. 1 week ago, like 7 days or 8 days ago, we saw a group of youths disrupting a political rally in Burma, Nairobi. All these things are happening amid the current news and conversations by some politicians in the country that in 2017 post-election violence, they participated in arming the youths, failing them, giving them dress codes, dresses, attires to cause violence to the political opponents. As if that's not enough, recently we saw two politicians fighting in a funeral in Kisii County. So the question that comes here is, what is the future of a Kenyan youth who is being used as a tool of violence to settle political scores in Kenya's political arena? It should be a question and a concern of any sober Kenyan outside there when we talk about Kenyan young men and women being used by the politicians, the people we have elected to represent us, the people we have elected to submit our agenda of development and prosperity, using our young men and women to settle scores with political opponents in the country, to prevent political opponents from addressing a crowd in the country. It should be a worry to any Kenyan youth outside that we have become tools of violence to the people who are supposed to enhance our developments. People are supposed to create a platform for equal participation in employment, in governments, in decision making, name all those spheres of development. The rate at which the youths are being used to propagate political violence in political rallies is alarming in the country. And this normally happens during the electioneering period. We therefore keep the political temperature so high, such that by the time even we go to the polls, almost every youth walking around is like a pump, waiting to be only touched, and it detonates. The 2007 and 2008 post-election violence in Kenya could have been one of Kenya's greatest lessons. When you look at the work report, it clearly outlines a lot of militia groups, majority constituting of youth members, that were used to unleash violence to non-combatants and combatants in the country. When you look at the Prevention of Organized Crime Act 2010, by 2010 we had 33 militia groups. And when you look at these militia groups, many of them are youths aged between the age of 15 and 35 years old. By 2019, the number of militia groups in the country had rose from 33 to 46. That within a span of 9 years, the country had registered 13 new militia groups. And these militia groups are basically made of young men and women. That rate is an alarming one, and it should be a concern for any sober Kenyan outside there. We are propagating a generation of young men and women who believe in political violence as a source of income. The use of youths in unleashing violence in political rallies is socializing our young men and women that they can specialize in violence and be ready for the highest bidder for hire. The question that we should then ask ourselves as sober Kenyans is, where will these youths go after the electioneering period? Definitely, they have nowhere to go. Remember that 80% of unemployed Kenyans are below the age of 35. That implies that 80% of unemployed Kenyans are youths. So during the electioneering period, we keep them busy by using them to unleash violence in political rallies, to settle scores with our political opponents. So after the electioneering period, we leave them. Where do you expect these young men and women are going? These are the young men and women who are coming together, grouping to form formal vigilantes. Because by the end of the day, they have been socialized, they have tested the waters, they have known the depth of violence, and therefore they have known the abilities and the disabilities within that violence arena. And therefore, they are more than ready to exploit whatever they have learned during this electioneering period, and it is violence, and employing it after the electioneering period. That's where we have armed robbers, kidnappers, car hijackers, young men and women who are visibly coming out and even posting in the social medias how they are proud to be mashanse, magangster. So basically what I'm saying is, what our politicians are doing today, attracting youths, bringing youths together to cause violence in the name of settling political scores. in the way of communicating or forcing their political ideologies to the masses. It's going to lead this country into a state of fragility in the future. Because then it will reach a point where the number of every politician in this country is going to have a vigilante, a youth wing that is providing backup and security. We are going to have very high number of vigilantes than even what our police service can handle. We are driving this country into the state where countries like Sudan, Somalia, and war-torn countries are in today. And therefore, everybody has a collective responsibility. You have a duty, everybody, parents, the youths themselves, and the politicians, to stop this madness of using youths as a tool of violence in political cause settlement. As a parent, are you offering the right support to your child as a parent or as a guardian? Do you know where your child is? Do you know where your child gets whatever source of whatever money he has? Do you know the source of income? You see them parade with politicians in the social media. Have you ever asked them the relationship, the sort of business that are doing with their politicians? You have a duty as a parent to start the socialization of peace, respect, and harmony from your own family. Don't leave your work to teachers. Don't leave your work to police officers. You have a duty to talk to your kids. To my fellow youths outside there, you have a responsibility to liberate yourself from the chores of power-hungry politicians who are ready even to shed blood to get into power or to consolidate their power. Don't start shouting that serikali saidia. There's no way the government is coming to help you liberate yourself from being used as a tool for political violence. You have to make that sound decision. It is your responsibility as a Kenyan youth to respect fellow youths and fellow Kenyans for their political stand, for their political candidates they support, for their political ideologies. The fact that you differ politically does not mean that automatically somebody becomes an enemy. You fight your fellow neighbors. You fight your fellow age mates, your classmates, your village mates, your town mates. You kill them. You cause harm and injuries on them because of a politician who doesn't even know your name. Leave alone putting food on your table. Today they give you 1,000 Kenya shillings. You go to a political rally to disrupt it. My question is, are they going to give you this 1,000 every day for the rest of your life? Are you going to be forever a youth in this country? No. Waswahili husema, ujana ni moshi, ukienda haurudi. So you're not going to be a youth forever. And what you're planting today as a youth in Kenya, allowing yourself to be used as a tool of violence, killing innocent people in the name of a political person that you support. It will not take long before the violence you perpetrated to yourself eats you up. It's your family. It's your parents, or even it's your future. Look, the politicians we are allowing to use us for their own political gains. The politicians who are giving us little money to cause havoc, to intimidate their own bonnets, to unleash violence, are the people we choose to represent us in the government. And therefore, you as a youth, you have a duty to ask yourself, as these politicians created a platform where the youth agenda is discussed and implemented fully, has these politicians created a platform where the youth voices can be heard and be included in the tables where decisions are being made by the big boys and the big girls? Has these politicians created a platform where we can favorably and equitably compete for job opportunities in the country? If the answer is yes, then you can tell us anything. But if you know very well that the answer is no, first of all, you are being enticed with 1,000 because you're jobless. Because they know we do not have a source of income, we don't have a source of survival. So they are using your situation to meet their ends. My dear Kenyan youths, we need to rise above that. That even as we head to 2022 general election, we need to go there as rational and conscious youths of our time. Support a political person or support a politician based on his manifesto or ideologies. If you agree with them, support them. But don't force your brother and sisters to support somebody simply because you're supporting them. Let's not fight our brothers and sisters because our ethnic kingpins have told us they are bad. Let's not support ideologies simply because they are being propagated and pioneered by our ethnic kingpins. We fight, but those politicians remain friends. In politics, there are no permanent enemies. You kill your neighbor. The person who made you kill your neighbor. The people who thought they were political enemies, tomorrow they are together. They are friends. You've never heard that the members of parliament in this country have fought in their offices in the Continental House. They are friends. They say hi to each other in the morning as they enter and leave the offices. They meet in high-end places and they celebrate life. You are here seriously being used for drama, for political dramas outside there. Kenyan youth, we need to liberate ourselves from this madness for our sake and for the sake of the future of this particular country. Because me and you know that today we are a youth, tomorrow we will not be there. The decisions that we are making today are going to affect us even in our future. So going forward to 2022, as a Kenyan youth, think of how you are going to vote. Do you have a voting card? Are you a registered voter? Are you going to wake up in the morning and go and vote? And leave the rest to the designated institutions to finish? I'm saying this because we Kenyan youths are very good when it comes to chanting in political rallies. But we do not take that energy and wake up and go to vote. We have left voting for the old in the society. So there's no way we are going to call for change as youths if we do not partake in important civic exercises, electoral exercises. We need to do that. So as a Kenyan youth, look at a politician not because he comes from your tribe, not because he's being supported by somebody from your tribe, not because your father or mother supports them. No, look at a politician because you know that the agenda they have for this country in their manifesto is something that you go in line with. Don't force people. Don't abuse people who are not supporting the person you support. Respect them. After all, politics is all about choices. And they respect your for choice and let you also respect their choices. And finally, to my honorable politicians outside there, you want to settle political scores with your opponents. Don't use the common Kenyan youth. You have daughters and sons of our age. Take them to the political rallies and let them fight for their fathers and mothers' political supremacy. Let it be a family war, not a tribal war, not an ethnic war, not a faction between people from this region and people. No. The politicians who are fighting, the politician you want to settle scores with, the politician you don't want him to address whole heart, to address the people, comes from a family, just the way you come from a family. You have daughters, you have brothers. Bring them on board, they fight. Don't use the Kenyan common youth. Don't kill the future of the Kenyan common youth because you want to get into power or you want to consolidate power. You have a lot to pray as the people who have been selected by the voters in this country to represent us in government. You have a role to ensure that this country does not sink into the hands of dogs. You have a responsibility to ensure that this country remains peaceful and that electioneering period does not become a period of violence and rising temperatures. You have a responsibility to ensure that this country does not go to a state of fragility. And therefore, to end political violence in rallies and meetings, all of us have a role to play. Play your role well. Thank you.